If I had a nickel for every time I read a black horror book with an amazing premise, but it was executed in such a way that was very disappointing to me, I'd have two nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's crazy that it happened twice. Oh. We're back in the corner. Hey, Cammie. Girl, we were not impressed by these books. And I don't want to come off like I'm trying to be extremely disrespectful to these books and their authors. I'm not. I was just expecting so much more and was disappointed. And I'm really trying hard to learn not to go into anything with any expectations at all, just so that I'm not disappointed. However, comma, I was so, I say this in all of my reviews, I was so excited for these books. So excited for these books. One of these books I read and did the review for on my Instagram account like a year ago. And this other book, I posted the review on my Instagram account in September. Yeah, September. And I still just haven't gotten over how disappointed I am. But oh my gosh. So the books are, okay, Lakewood and the other black girl. And look at the covers. That's like this is Lakewood. This is the other black girl. The other black girl had a show adaptation, a limited series adaptation that came out in what, September? I tried to watch the first episode. I tried. And I said, "Ooh." I think my absolute disappointment in the book and dissatisfaction with the book just it was just bubbling up as I was watching the show, and I couldn't hold it down. Um this sounds so bad, and I promise I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything. I just I didn't like these. I wanted these to be for me. However, comma, I just felt like they weren't executed well enough. So let's get into it. And there might be spoilers ahead. I don't know exactly what I'm going to say, especially if I can remember all the details correctly. I don't remember all of the details. I just remember how they made me feel. Okay. What should I start with? Maybe I'll start with Lakewood. Yeah, I'll start with Lakewood. So, Lakewood's synopsis, right? When Lena Johnson's beloved grandmother dies and the full extent of the family debt is revealed, the black millennial drops out of college and takes a job in the mysterious and remote town of Lakewood, Michigan. On paper, her new job is too good to be true. All Lena has to do is participate in a secret research program full of seemingly world changing discoveries: an eye drop that makes brown eyes blue, a medication that could be a cure for dementia, golden pills promise to make all bad thoughts go away. But the consequences for the subjects involved could be devastating. Provocative and thrilling, Lakewood is a breathtaking novel that takes an unflinching look at the horror that has been forced on black bodies in the name of science. The experimentation on black bodies, I love talking about this. I love it. Oh my God. The way I thought that this premise would be executed was so different than what I got. I thought that it was going to be some type of, because They Cloned Tyrone came out over the summer. I thought that this was going to be something like that. And then there's like comparisons to Get Out. I made it halfway through the book before I said, yeah, I'm done. I'm done. Because, right? I was halfway into the book. And the plot just coasted. We were going up and then it plateaued. I said, where's the story going? Nowhere. It Yeah. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars for what I did read and what I do remember. The scariest part that I remember reading was one of the experiment participants. Her teeth were falling out of her head. And the way that was described was absolutely disgusting and shocking, and one of the best parts that I read in the book. Other than that, the cabin scene, that didn't really make any sense to me. Like, it was just chaotic. And I understand that this particular book could have done chaos really well. Chaos could have been used in a way to propel the plot. It's not what happened, in my opinion. Yeah. The characters were forgettable, in my opinion. As far as descriptions of the characters, I couldn't really. I like to imagine when I'm reading. I play out a whole movie when I'm reading. I couldn't do that with the characters in this book, which, was a little unfortunate. It also kind of took away the fun of reading this book. And I was so ready to see where the conversations of experimentation on black bodies, experimentation in underserved communities, classism, racism, racism in science. I was excited to see where all of those conversations would be critiqued, and they were touched on lightly. And yes, I only made it halfway through the book before I put it down, but there were very light discussions on them. And maybe in the future I'll pick the book back up and, decide to finish it. But reading this book low-key made me so disappointed and upset that I didn't even look up how it ends. That's usually what I do for books that I don't finish. I'll look up how it ends and determine if I want to go back and read it. I didn't do that for this book. So, I don't know if that says something about me or if that says something about the book. I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to move on. Set the tone. I picked the only song that I felt was fitting just because it sounds so creepy and just puts you in that mood. Like, the lyrics say stay woke. Childish Gambino's Redbone. It's fitting. Don't you close your eyes. They're doing experiments on eyes, giving people that were born with brown eyes blue eyes. Stay woke to all the weird things that are happening around you and in your community and in your environment, because these people is creeping and they're making money off of y'all's bodies. whether you live or die, which is also happening in real life. Like, life imitates art, imitates life. So, that's Lakewood. One more note about Lakewood. I think, just like the other black girl, I feel that Lakewood would be executed well as a show or a movie. Hopefully. Maybe. I think that would be the best medium to maybe portray a story like that. But reading it, I feel like watching that kind of story would be a more enjoyable experience for me. Yeah. And maybe they could take a few notes from They Clone Tyrone. Because that movie, masterpiece. All right. On to the other black girl. I talked about this on my channel a year ago and how I was reading it. And I realized I never gave an update on it. I never got back to it. I finished it. I just didn't want to talk about it. because I was also disappointed by it. But I wasn't that disappointed because I did give it 3 stars. So, it it came and went. It did come and go. Yeah, most of the drama occurs in the last few chapters of this book, and I feel like much of the storytelling was so messy. Not messy in a way that's like, girl, what's the tea? But like messy in a way that's just, we need some organization. Where, I think I said this in my book review, but the main character of this book is trying to work her way up in this publishing house, and she's like an assistant editor or something like that. But when she edits certain books that she's given, she'll comment, "Where was the editor?" And I said that about this book. Where was the editor? Because it just, the use of flashbacks alone, so confusing. So extremely confusing, because it was like we were in the past, then we came back to the present, but there was no clear, in my opinion, there was no clear delineation of when we were going to the past and in the present. Like, yeah, there were dates in certain chapters, but in some chapters, it was like we just slipped into past or present and then came back. Yeah. Even though some of the writing did slug along, as I was reading, it definitely felt like I was watching things play out on a screen. And that's one thing I enjoyed about this book. Like, everything was very vivid. I could see it clearly in my head. The detailing was very well done. The writing, it's amazingly written. Beautifully written, even. It's great. Just the way some of the storylines were executed, and the fact that there were so many storylines that were just drawn out and did not contribute to the overall plot. I didn't really see the point in some of those things being included. Yeah. Like, in some of the flashbacks, it just didn't connect for me to the present. I did say in my book review on Instagram that I have to give Zakiya Dalila Harris, I believe I said her name right. If I didn't, I'm so sorry. I have to give her her flowers, because that's a writer. She can write. Yeah. Both of Megan Giddings is a writer as well. It's just both of these stories were not cohesive, I guess. They I want to praise them. I want to. The writing, amazing. The story though, just that, and I don't know how many times I'm going to say this through the rest of the video. The execution of the stories was what let me down. So, yeah, I gave The Other Black Girl three out of 5 stars because of the conversation of it's, especially in the workplace. It's only room for one of us here, being the token black person in predominantly white spaces. Something else that I really appreciated about The Other Black Girl was the conversation regarding the collusion that some black, indigenous people of color will participate in with white supremacists to push out other people of color in the workplace. That? So good. I ate that up. I love that. I thoroughly enjoyed that because it happens. Which kind of goes back to the whole trope of like, there's only room for one of us here. I really like that about this book because I have lived that. It's an unfortunate experience. It happens. It also plays into survival of the fittest. And survival of the fittest in our capitalist society will have you doing crazy things in the workplace to make sure that you are good. That's why I got 3 out of 5 stars. The conversation was great. I think it's very clear why I docked it 2 stars, though. I'm not going to harp on that anymore. There is a okay, this is a spoiler alert. There is a quote in the book that the antagonist, the other black girl, says about our main black girl. The main black girl's name is what? Nella? Yes. Main black girl's name is Nella. The other black girl's name is Hazel. Hazel says about Nella something along the lines of, she would be a lot, what'd she say? Oh, she's a lot better relaxed than uptight. Layers. There's layers, okay? Think about the history of black hair in the workplace. Think about the history that black people have with hair relaxers, right? Our curls are very tight, okay? We use relaxers to straighten the curls, right? Nella, okay, is very uptight in the workplace, right? The other black girl, Hazel, who has come into this workplace and is loved by all the white people because she's just so chill and go with the flow. She's getting it in, right? She says about Nella, she's a lot better relaxed than uptight. Remember, Hazel is our antagonist and she's working with the white supremacists in the publishing house, right? Right? Why? This is sick. This is one of my favorite parts, okay? Why is Hazel's weapon of choice to relax Nella by doing Nella's hair and styling it with a mind-numbing grease? Stay with me. a mind a mind-numbing grease. Sick. Sick. I feel like it would be too obvious if it was a relaxer, but a mind, like a grease that is supposed to moisturize the scalp, right? And maintain itchiness. Like I think of a blue magic jar and how my nana would grease my scalp when I was a kid, and how my scalp, I would just feel so nice. I wouldn't be scratching, nothing would be itch. Okay, th- I love that part. I loved a mind-numbing grease. Are you with me? You're not. A mind-numbing grease. That was the best part for me. Cause I read that, I said there is no way. There is not a mind-numbing grease. A mind. Okay, right. Stay with me. A mind-numbing grease to keep the uptight black girl in line in the predominantly white workspace, to keep her as part of the machine that fuels our capitalist society that is ran by white supremacists. Yeah, I wanted more of that. I wanted more of that from the book, not flashbacks. Even though the flashbacks do kind of help explain the history behind the whole white supremacists in the publishing house, and oh god, just because the situation has happened before the same way. I'll I'll say yeah, read The Other Black Girl, just for the crazy part that I just revealed a few seconds earlier. If you didn't watch that last part, read The Other Black Girl so you can see and understand why I'm smiling like this, because that was the best part. Finding out the plot twist and the reveal. That was the best part. Yeah. But it was just very interesting to see that dynamic of Nella, the uptight black woman, you know, trying to follow her dreams and do everything by the book, possibly have her mind numbed. I just really like the conversation of Hazel, the other black girl, being at an advantage because Nella, our main girl, is more relaxed, and she's better off with her growing ambitions being relaxed because she's not helping the system if she's constantly questioning and trying to do things in a way that she understands would be beneficial for herself and her community, especially in a way that would protect her community. Hazel, I love Hazel as an antagonist. She's great. She's great. She's another shining star of this book. Nella irked me. She did. She did. And I she was just Nella was such an annoying main character. And that's something that I struggle with when I read. Like, if the main character is annoying, it's going to be really hard for me to finish the book. But I made it through. One thing that I did like about Nella's character is that we get the lesson of trusting your intuition the first time you get clued in, because she knew that something was off with Hazel from the beginning. She knew. Nella knew that Hazel was off from the beginning. And I'm not saying she should have left, because that would have given Hazel too much satisfaction too quickly. However, Nella, maybe you should have fought Hazel, girl. I don't know. Anyway, I feel like Redbone still applies for the other black girl, so I'll use Childish Gambino's Redbone twice. That's kind of lazy of me. I don't really care. But yeah, set the tone for the other black girl, and Lakewood is very much giving Childish Gambino's Redbone, because stay woke. They creeping, they gonna find you, gonna catch you sleeping. Stay woke. Anyway, um, yeah, the book that I'm reading now. Oh, I have quite a few book reviews that I need to catch up on. Things have gotten crazy because grad school. What can I say? Um, but yeah, I have maybe four. I think we're at four recommendations that I need to do. I mean, not recommendations. I think we're at four reviews that I need to do soon. Hopefully, I can do them before the year ends. Hopefully, this review gets up before the year ends. We'll see. At least I filmed it. The book I'm actually physically reading right now is The Deep. And it's a story of black mermaids and how they came to be, how they're descendants of pregnant enslaved African women that were thrown overboard or decided to jump during their transit on the transatlantic slave trade. Um, and I am really enjoying black fantasy. I want to get into black fantasy a lot more. I want to get into fantasy written by people of color in general a lot more. I haven't always been a fantasy girly. I like dystopian, more of the dystopian fantasy, but like just straight up, whoa, fantasy and magic and all kinds of creatures and mermaids. That was never really me, but we can change, and that's what we're doing. So I'm really excited to do the review on these next couple books. And I think that's all I have. If anybody comes across this video in the future and really enjoyed Lakewood and The Other Black Girl, please feel free to let me know what you enjoyed about both of those books. And if you haven't read either of them yet, feel free to. Do not let what I say about these books sway you and keep you from enjoying these pieces of media. Um, I would love to have conversations with you after you finish if you decide to read them. And if anybody has any recommendations for me, please leave them in the comments. I'm really enjoying doing book reviews. I'm really enjoying having my YouTube channel in general. Like, I love that I'm building this kind of time capsule for myself, and I'm really glad that I decided to do it because I'll be able to look back in a couple years or maybe even next year and just see where I am based on where I was. This sounds extremely existential. Hold on. Anyway, if you're not future me and you decided to watch this video, hi, I'm Cammie. This is Cam's Book Corner.